Hi, this is Kevin Croak, head coach at UCD Rugby Club. In this series of interviews, in conjunction with club sponsor Crow, we talk to past and present players who share their memories of the club and how it has impacted their career both on and off the field. In this interview, we catch up with UCD Leinster and Ireland player Ross Byrne. Ross, you came into UCD having played schools rugby in St. Michael's. You'd also played some rep rugby at that stage. What influenced your decision to join UCD?
I suppose the big thing was a good few of my friends, I suppose. People like Ross Maloney, Nick McCarthy, Josh Murphy were kind of all thinking of going to UCD as well. And we kind of always played the whole way up together. And then even ahead of us, McMahon had been there for a few years. People like Alex Kelly and then Rory O'Loughlin, Dan Levy, Bobby Holland, kind of. So there was a lot of lads, I suppose, that had gone from Michael's into UCD. So I suppose it was almost kind of just becoming a bit of a tradition almost that a lot of lads would just be going straight in. I suppose it's always when you're going into a new club and you're knowing a lot of people as well, it's going to be a lot easier. So the big thing for me was UCD's only down the road for me as well. So I suppose it's in my area as well. But I think the fact that they had so many kind of young, good players going to them as well, kind of always thought they'd be pretty strong. We always did have really strong teams. Probably should have had a bit more success than we did, considering the caliber of players. But it was a pretty easy decision, to be honest.
When you joined UCD, you had a number of friends coming in, and you were going to end up playing with players who you played against and guys you played in Senior Cup. Could you talk us through what that experience was like?
Yeah, I suppose it was bizarre enough, to be honest. I remember even Gary Ringrose on. So I played probably the Senior Cup final in March, and then 5 months later we're playing on the same team. And we probably played a little bit of underage stuff for Leinster that summer. But then you kind of, you're playing each other week in, week out at UCD. I mean, it's brilliant, really, because you don't know the lads that much, I suppose, when you're playing against each other in school. So then I suppose when you do get to play each other, you realise that he's actually an okay fella. You're happy enough to call him a mate. So it was brilliant, I suppose, to play with all the lads that you're playing against. And I think, to be honest, everyone's there really to win and have a bit of crack as well. So I think the team gels together pretty quickly.
So did you play many years for UCD? Like how many seasons?
So I played 1 year of 20s, played the full season, played probably 20 games that year. And then I played 2 years of AIL. Second year was a little bit more injury ravaged, but which is actually unfortunate because we actually got to the semi-final that year, which we probably should have. Clontarf were a very good team at the time, but looking back, we had an incredible team on paper. I suppose that was kind of one thing that probably a little bit almost hindered us sometimes at UCD was with so many Leinster players that sometimes we didn't always. I suppose we didn't get the same preparation as the other clubs because we wouldn't always supposed to get the same training time. Which probably not a great excuse to make considering you might have the best players. But I was only looking at a program the other day when I was thinking it could have been my first AIL game actually. Against St. Mary's, I think, and I was just looking at the team or the age of the profiles, and like at the time it was like Emma McMahon, Tom Fletcher, these lads are like all the oldest in the team, but like at the time they're only like 23, 24. So you don't realise back then, and then I suppose all the other clubs or most of the clubs they've got late 20s, 30-year-olds who've been playing the AIL for 10 years. So it does, as you said, make a huge difference. And it's something we kind of probably took a little bit for granted at the time.
So you played 1 year at under 20s, 2 seasons with the first team. Was there any game that stands out to you as a particularly memorable one?
There was actually one game, we played tenure away. It was actually with the first, so my under 20s, tenure had a really good under 20s side. They beat us 3 times, I think it was, over the course of the year. And anyone who knows playing in tenure always knows what it's like. It's always a hostile atmosphere, and you think the ref is against you, you think the world is against you. But I remember we went up there and it was actually around Christmas time. That could have been the morning of the Christmas party, actually. We went up there and we won with a bonus point, and it was just a phenomenal win. I was kind of, I suppose, a little bit unheard of. No one really went to tenure and kind of won that well. And then obviously, needless to say, we had a great night as well.
What was it like having your brother join UCD? we were chatting to the Ringers and to the Pennies, and they were kind of talking about their brothers following them into the club, and I know Harry only came in, I think, for 1 year and then moved on. But what was it like having him follow you into the club?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I suppose he never even really had to think about it. I think he was just like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. We never actually got to play together, unfortunately. But it was brilliant. I think he even, I suppose, even though he's only there for 1 year, I think he likes the fact that he says he is a UCD man, I suppose, which is it's always a nice thing, I suppose, as well, for when, I think if lads go to UCD and then they move on to another club, you can very much so say you're connected to both, whereas I suppose that probably doesn't happen if you're going from a Belleville to a Land's End type of thing. I think that is always kind of a bit unique because it is a college, and so I suppose it's always associated with kind of a young team kind of being together.